Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Tonight's video is going to be my top 10 second rowers of the 2020 NRL season. This was a very hard list to put together. I think the top three are probably a standout compared to the others, but probably from 4th to 10th, it's very hard to pick. So I'm looking forward to revealing my top 10 second rower list to you guys. But before I get into that, we are about 11 subscribers away from reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you can subscribe to the channel, if you haven't already, make sure you do. Share the videos that I have been posting lately to your friends, to your cousins, your sisters, everyone that you know. And let's try and get that 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week. That would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. It's currently, Monday night, 7:30 PM. This video should be up by 8 o'clock tonight, New South Wales time. Hope everyone's had a great Monday as well, by the way. Hope everyone's staying safe. And, yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Let's get into it. So we'll go from 10 up to 1. The top 10 NRL second rowers of the 2020 NRL season. Number 10 is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs second rower, Raymond Fatala-Mariner. Now, this bloke was a shining light for the Bulldogs in 2020. The Bulldogs had a really poor season, as we all know. They finished 15th. They were pretty diabolical this year. They didn't show a lot of promise at all, really, to be honest. But if there was a bit of shining light, and I reckon it was Raymond Fatala-Mariner. He's been a pretty good player for a while, Raymond Fatala-Mariner. Pretty underrated, in my opinion. He's good under the radar for a while. And, you know, I thought he had a pretty good season, Raymond Fatala-Mariner, in a really poor Bulldog side. So, you know, his efforts and performances most weeks were very good for the Dogs. So he is number 10 on the list. Number 9 is the South Sydney Rabbitohs right side back rower, Jaden Sewer. Now, Jaden Sewer, he ended up playing State of Origin at the end of the season, which was good because I think State of Origin suits him. He's a really aggressive back rower. He loves to put on big shots. He loves the shoulder charge. Too bad he can't do it anymore. But I've seen Jaden Sewer get away with a couple of cheeky shoulder charges this year. But, you know, I thought he had a really good season, Jaden Sewer. Came out of the Brisbane Broncos system. And he left there, going to South Sydney to partner up with Wayne Bennett. And to be honest, I thought Jaden Sewer started the year fairly slow. But when he found his way into the starting side week in, week out, he was building a good combination with Adam Reynolds. He was playing on the left side with Cody Walker for a while too. Whether you play Jaden Sewer on the right side back row or the left side, I don't think it matters because he's a damaging back rower on either side. And I thought he had a really strong season. So he is number 9 on the list. Number 8 is a bloke who had a really good season, and he had a good combination with Nathan Cleary. Number 8 is the Panthers' right side back rower, Liam Martin. I thought he played really well this year, Liam Martin. He had a pretty good combination with Nathan Cleary on that right side. I know the Panthers were great this year. They finished first, and they won 17, 18 games in a row, whatever it was. And, you know, there was a lot of good parts about Liam Martin's game this year. He just, I think for him to go to that, like at the moment, I think he's around here. For him to go to that next level, he's got to find that extra bit of grit. And I think he is a future State of Origin player, Liam Martin, if he just stays consistent and just keeps finding more attributes to add to his game. But I thought Liam Martin had a really strong season for the Panthers. He's that sort of back rower where he will worry the defence on either side, because if Liam Martin runs at the 5'8" or the halfback, whichever is playing on either side, he will definitely concern the player on the inside and the player on the outside. He's a really good player, Liam Martin. I thought he had a good season, so he is number 8 on the list. Number 7 is a bloke who's been at a couple of clubs. He was at the Roosters. He was at the West Tigers. He's now at the Parramatta Eels. Number 7 is the Parramatta Eels right side back rower, Ryan Madison. Now, Ryan Madison, for mine, he had a really strong season. He started the year very well. Probably got a little bit quiet at the back end of the season, but to be fair, Parramatta were a little bit quiet at the back end of the season as well. They weren't as good as they were at the start of the year, as we all know. But Ryan Madison was pretty consistent week in, week out. Even in games where Parramatta were beaten, Ryan Madison was probably in their top 3 best players, even in games where the Eels did get beat. But Ryan Madison is a really good player. I'm surprised he hasn't played State of Origin yet. I think he will in the near future. I think he'd be good on the bench for New South Wales. he can play a couple of positions. Ryan Madison, he's a good back rower. You can play him at lock. You can play him at centre if you had to, even in the halves. He's a very good player, Ryan Madison, and he had a pretty good combination with Mitchell Moses this year. Probably wasn't as good as what I thought it would have been. I expected it to be a little bit better, but I think they'll improve. It was their first year together, and Ryan Madison's a player where he's still young. He's got a long way to go in his career, and I think he'll just improve week in, week out, and year out. So a pretty good year from Ryan Madison. I thought he had a good 2020 for the Eels, so he is number 7 on the list. Number 6 is a bloke who's been very underrated for a fair while now. I thought he had a really good season, and he plays for England all the time. He's always one of the first picked. Number 6 is the Canberra Raiders second rower, Elliott Whitehead. Now, Elliott Whitehead definitely had a few error problems at the back end of the season, especially in the finals. He had a couple of errors that he needs to get out of his game. But, if you're talking like I'm talking the 2020 NRL season, pretty much from round 1 up until round 22 or whatever it was this year, Elliott Whitehead was great most weeks. I remember the game against Parramatta where they got beat. I thought Elliott Whitehead was going to win the game for him. He scored that try, and then he threw that massive dummy and made that break, and he set up Charles Nicoll-Klokstad on the inside. And he's the sort of player, Elliott Whitehead, where he has a good dummy in him. He can even kick the ball if he has to. He's very underrated compared to the other back rowers in the game. I think when you're playing with a club like Canberra, who's got so many great forwards with like Papali and they had John Bateman, and you got likes of Joseph Tarpany there. Elliott Whitehead's pretty underrated compared to all those sort of players, and I thought he had a really good season, Elliott Whitehead, and I think he'll just get better and better as the years go on. He's pretty experienced now. I just think he needs to get those errors out of his game and just needs to fix that up, and if he does that, I think he'll be an even better player. But as for the 2020 NRL season, I thought Elliott Whitehead was quite strong, and he is number 6 on the list. Now let's get into the top 5. Now this is fairly hard to pick. This next pick I've got is a little bit controversial to some people, but I rate this guy fairly highly and thought he had a good season. Number 5 on the list for the 5th best back rower of the 2020 NRL season. Number 5 from the Cronulla Sharks. I can't pronounce his first name. I'm going to have a go though. Tevita Talakai. I can't even fucking pronounce it. Talakai, the big back rower from Cronulla, Talakai. He is number 5 on the list. Now, he played a lot of back row this year for Cronulla because Wade Graham had a few injuries this year. And, Talakai, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He is an absolute nightmare. Now, to his credit, Talakai is a big guy. He is a really, really big man. And the size of him and the attributes he's got, the skill of him, and the pace of the big man is pretty unbelievable. And for a bloke that went from bludgeoning around in reserve grade for Souths, and then he goes to Cronulla, gets an opportunity, Wade Graham goes out injured, instead of coming off the bench and playing wherever, he comes into the second row position, plays majority of the season at back row. I thought he was absolute dynamite, Talakai, and to be honest, I think he will only get better. I remember when he used to play centre as Talakai, but the size of him, he's got so many great attributes about his game. He's got good ball skills, good offload in him. He's a pretty good try scorer as well. He can score tries from anywhere. And for a big guy, he's really quick. And I thought he had a fantastic season, to be honest. And I might be rating him a little bit too high here. Some people probably think, but I thought he was absolutely electric all year, Talakai. And every time he got the ball, you knew that the defence were going to have to get their shoulders ready because it was going to be very hard to stop Talakai. But great season from him, and he is number 5 on my list. Number 4 on the list is a bloke that has been very good for a long time, and he plays with the Melbourne Storm on the left side back row. He plays with Cameron Munster on the left side, and number 4 is the Melbourne Storm second rower, Kenny Bromwich. Now, Kenny Bromwich had a pretty good season. He did have some quiet parts of the season, but if you're going to add up his whole season in one like I am, 2020 NRL season for Kenny Bromwich was absolutely fantastic. He's very underrated. I think I saw a poll the other day where he was voted by everyone as the most underrated player in the NRL. I don't know about that, but as in back rowers, you could probably argue that in a way. He is a very good player, Kenny Bromwich, and he has been for a while. He's won 2 grand finals. He's done a lot of good things in the game of NRL, and at second row, he's done a fantastic job. So, I thought he had another really good season. Didn't score as many tries as what he has in the past, but I thought he had a really good season, Kenny Bromwich, and he is number 4 on the list. Now, let's get into the top 3. Now, in my opinion, you could switch this top 3 up any way you wanted to. I mean, these 3 back rows that I'm about to get into, I reckon you could switch either of these guys up for first or second, because if you did, I can't argue with you, because this is a very, very close top 3 list in my opinion. But number 3, for the third best back rower of the 2020 NRL season, is the Roosters back rower, Angus Crichton. Now, everyone knows how I feel about Angus Crichton. I think he's one of the best back rowers in the game. I still don't know why the Cowboys haven't offered this bloke a deal or even looked at him. I think he's a fantastic player. He's going to struggle to stay at the Roosters because of salary cap issues. There's been talk about him going to rugby union. Angus Crichton, if you're watching this, do not go to rugby union. You're too good for rugby union. You're a fantastic back row in the NRL, and rugby union doesn't deserve you because rugby union is a piece of shit. But Angus Crichton, my God, what a season he had. He played for New South Wales in the Origin Series, and he was probably arguably New South Wales' best player, to be honest. I reckon he probably was. If you're having a look at all the players that played Origin for the Blues, Angus Crichton was probably the most consistent player. But as for the 2020 NRL season, Angus Crichton was fantastic. I reckon he's probably... I'm not sure if he's better on the left side or the right side, but if you're asking me, my personal opinion, I think he's better on the left. Honestly, Angus Crichton on the left side is just fantastic. And the bloke's still young, he lost his finger when he was at South. I think he's got 9 fingers or something, Angus Crichton. But what a great season from Angus Crichton, and I hope he gets better because he's a freak of a player, and he's a player that you definitely want in your team. So number 3 is Angus Crichton. Now let's get into the top 2. This is a very hard list to put together. Like I said, you could switch this up any way you wanted to. But number 2 on the list, the second best back rower of the 2020 NRL season, is the Warriors back rower, Tohu Harris. Now this bloke was one of the best back rowers in the game when he was playing with the Melbourne Storm, and when he went to the Warriors, he was struggling for a while, couldn't find that consistency. And this year, under the coaching of Todd Payton, you could pretty much say, and his leadership as well, Tohu Harris pretty much saved his career this year. And what a season he had. He had one of the best seasons he's had since probably 2012 Melbourne Storm. But Tohu Harris, what a player. I mean, he scored some good tries this year, set up a couple, played very well, played a good role for his team, the Warriors. Obviously, we all know the sacrifices that the Warriors made and stuff like that, but Tohu Harris was just consistent. He didn't give a shit about anything. He just went out and did his job for the team, and I thought he played very well this year, Tohu Harris, and I think he will only get better, and I think the pressure's on him next year again to perform at the same level as he did this year, but probably try and get even better than what he already is, Tohu Harris. But a great season from him overall, and he is number 2 on the list. And number 1, you already know who I'm going to say, because you can see it in the thumbnail below. Number 1, the best back row of the 2020 NRL season, is the Panthers' second rower, Viliame Kikau. Now, big Viliame Kikau, what a fantastic player he is. Another one the Cowboys let go. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, breaks my heart every time I say that. But anyway, Viliame Kikau had a fantastic season with the Panthers. The left side combination with him and Jerome Luai, Stephen Crichton and Josh Mansell was dynamite. They all complemented each other very well. Viliame Kikau is probably the scariest back rower in the game. Out of all the back rowers in the NRL, he probably worries the defence more than anyone. It takes about 3 people just to put him down because he's so damaging. Every time he gets the ball, if you go back and watch some of the Panthers games this year, or you just type up Viliame Kikau highlights or whatever you may type up, every time Kikau gets the ball at the line with speed, just watch the defence panic and just all focus on him. And then he'll offload on the inside of Luai or give it outside to Crichton. Every time he gets the ball, 3 or 4 defenders get so nervous. He worries the 5'8" that he's about to run at, or the halfback. He worries the back row on that side. He worries the centre on his inside. And the winger gets confused whether to come in or not. They all get concerned. And big Viliame Kikau, he had a fantastic season at the Penrith Panthers. Probably the best season he's had in his NRL career to date. I think 2018 was another good year for kick-out, but I reckon he was just out of this world this year. So, number 1 is the Panthers back rower, Viliame Kikau. But anyway, guys, that's my top 10 NRL second rows of the 2020 NRL season. Let me know in the comment section below what your top 10 is. I'm looking forward to reading that in the comment section below. Let me know if there's anyone that I missed out on. I know I probably I didn't mention a few other players. Like I didn't mention Lashani Leilua, didn't mention Eli Katoa, but I think they're right on the cusp of the top 10. They're very close, but I don't think they're there yet, but they're not far off. But anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day or night to watch this video. I appreciate it. I'm getting out of here, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Very close to 1,000 subscribers, guys. Very close. Anyway, I'm getting out of here, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.